Hey, welcome back to the channel. Yeah, we finally got part one of Airbrush booth construction completed. Welcome to part two. In here we'll be doing some assembly, some painting. We're going to reinforce this sidewall because we're going to be putting this air control valve on the other side here. I didn't want it inside, although I'm thinking that might be okay too, but it'd get in the way, so we're going to put it on the outside. And we're going to reinforce it just with some MDF glued and screwed to the side over here. And then we'll start painting. I got to sand up some rough edges. I kind of got in a hurry when I put it together. As you can see, got a little overhang here that I'm going to get rid of, sand that off. And a little underhang over here. You know that old adage, which side of the line should you saw on? Well, I should have checked that twice, right? Do as I say, not as I do. And we're looking good. Looking good. Let's do some light sanding, do that reinforcement on this side before we start painting and clean up. And so let me get that attached to the side here first. Cut a piece, install over here for that bracket to sit on. All right, let me get started. Stay with me now. Alrighty, so I have a support piece in. This bracket will go on here. That'll help strengthen this when this is installed, just to give it a little added strength. I glued the whole thing and then screwed into the frame that I created at the bottom for stability. Alrighty, so now we're going to do some prep. We're going to do some sanding. We're going to sand some relief edges, sand some of these edges down for relief. So that they don't get chipped as bad. I was going to put a 1/2" U-channel here. I thought that would be a great ideal. I can't find anything locally though. I've seen it online, just don't know. I'd like to see it in person. But I know they make some, especially for RV campers. That would slide right over that. That'd be a nice finishing touch. I don't know if I can get my hands on some of that though. But until then, we're going to sand and relief, sand some of this down, and then we're going to prep it for paint. So let me get the sanding. All right, so we got all of our edges, edge relief done. It's basically just sanding off shit here and there off the edges so that if it gets hit, hopefully, since I'm not using a U-channel or any protection around the top, I still might later on put something fancy around the top, but not now. But we've knocked off all the edges all the way around, and now we're going to clean up and start our painting process. Alrighty, so we got the surface all wiped down, ready for paint, and I've sealed the inside up so that I can spray that white eventually. Some flat white. It's going to get painty in there anyway. But we're going to do a black enamel hammered look. That'll, it's kind of like a goopy paint. Probably use a couple cans. Got my little mask. And I will set a fan in the door. And we'll start off with some light coats, really light coats. These edges probably should have been sealed, but oh well. They might not look as good as the rest, but it'll be all right. It is a paint booth. All right, so we're prepped, ready for paint. Let me start spraying. Okay, so we got our first coat on. You can see that MDF is drinking that stuff up. I've allowed it time to flash dry, and now we'll go back over with another coat. I should have probably used a sanding sealer or a sealer, but I didn't. and that's just the way we're going to go. We're going to roll that way. But if you look at the back, the metal pipe, oh, that's good like it should. But you can see that it's absorbing into it really bad. And the little metal flakes that cause the hammer effect, you can see that too. All right, let me get some more coats on there. All right, so I got my second coat on. I averaged 1 can per coat. Probably needed a third. Also, if you have this stuff's kind of runny, so plus I was trying to slough it into the edges as much as possible. Keep a foam brush handy. That way you can just sop that up and smear it around, which I didn't have, so I do have some runs and drips, mainly on my own causation, because I was really trying to get it into these edges, and I glooped it on those edges really good. So all right, now I turn my attention to the inside, so I will try to mask off. I hope it's dry enough to where it won't it's pretty dry. It's been about 12 hours. Still a little tacky there. Probably still needs some time, but we're not going to do that. So, pushing right along. If this was a model project, it'd probably be the worst ever because we just didn't allow enough time. So, do as I say, not as I do. So, we're going to do. All right, let me work on this. Alrighty, so we're back. Got it all masked off on the outside, just so we don't get too much overspray on the outside. And we're going to paint the inside, so we're going to be using a Rust-Oleum Matte French Cream, which should look really good against the black. And let me get started on that. Let me get a couple coats on, and I'll be right back. Alrighty, she's all painted. And we'll give it about 24 hours to dry. Got a little overspray here and there. Tape didn't want to stick too well. But other than that, looks good. I am going to caulk these sections, since you can tell that everything's held together by the frame, and this stuff just kind of sets in there. So we'll caulk that and make that disappear. Not really worried about the screw heads, but we will caulk those seams just to kind of make it look prettier. But yeah, French vanilla looks really good in there against the black. I know it's hard to tell on camera, but all right, so let's dry it for 24 hours, come back, and then we'll start attaching the hardware and put the filter in back here. But it's hand hammered. You see the little ripply hammer? Not too bad. I kind of like it. Could have used another can of spray paint on it, but there's some drips from the spray can, but I'm not really worried about that. And I tried like hell to get this stuff to drip. It went on really well. The only drips I have back there are glue, where I had some glue fudge. But yeah, sprayed the heck out of it. Looks good. It's still drying. All right, let's give it 24 hours and we'll come back and start putting hardware on her. Alrighty, been 24 hours. All nice and dry now. Very nice. As you can see, just in my size there to where I don't hit the bottom of the cabinet, because I'm going to put under cabinet lights over there underneath all of my cabinet stuff. So, and this I can pull out the Rolleroy drawer, have it as a table off to the side. This is the old Airbrush booth, which all this, these are parts for the new Airbrush booth. Get rid of this old Airbrush booth. See, it's full of my airbrush stuff. I don't think I ever used it. Got it prepped. Haven't done a model in a long time. I look forward to it. But this is one of the reasons why I want to get rid of this and open this space up so that I can use this space for more storage, hang some more stuff on the wall. But you can see the guy before us had a hole already made because he had part of the garage closed in with a gas heater, which there's a gas line. And we're going to take all of this stuff out. Ooh, all this has got to go. And then we'll work on the hardware. Need more room. I got too many projects on my desk that I need to get all done, but we're going to get this done first. Just because. All right, let me get busy moving this stuff out of here and start installing. Be right back. Okay, got it all cleaned up. Ready to start the installation process. So, bigger hole than I thought, 6-inch. So we're gonna have to go from a 6-inch vent, one of these big puppies, down to 4-inch. So, measured from the outside of the brick to the inside, we're at 9.5 inches. So, whatever I come up with needs to be, right in 9.5 inches. All right, let me play around here and see what I can find out. Alrighty, so first thing I think I'm going to do is to mount my Vivo inline 204 cubic foot per minute exhaust fan. I hope this works. And I think I want to mount it first, so I'll see what depth I need to make the vent out so that they line up good. So let's see if this thing works. Major blowage. Nice. So off. On a high blast. Oh yeah, that's whoo! That's pretty darn good. Too bad the speed control isn't good enough to mount to the side of the airbrush booth where I can get to it easily, but all right. So this is the bracket it comes with. You can see it's mounted on like this, and no, nothing's easy. No way to get to the screw holes from the sides because it's not long enough. So let me think about this. I know I'm going to mount it on the wall, so I'm going to find me a stud where I get enough room for all my pipes to come out. So let me play around here a little bit and get some pipes hooked up and some preliminary stuff done, and be right back. Okay, we've got our pipe in there. We're ready to do some caulking, so I'm going to caulk the airbrush booth first, since I need a thin bead of caulk, and I'll have to open the nozzle up quite a bit out here. We'll caulk around the edge of that. Yeah, there's some drips. I'll just cut that off. And I got to caulk all the way around that really good, actually, because it doesn't seal very well. So, caulk the shit out of that. All right, let me get the caulking. Alrighty, we caulked, and as you can see, I wasn't careful, but the inside's caulked. I haven't really seen any French vanilla caulking lately. I don't mean there isn't any, but I guess I could have used black, but once you go black, you never go back because there'll be black lines everywhere. But that might have been neat. I still got some black caulk. That's an option. I probably won't do that. So our foam's still squirting out here, and while that's, I sealed the heck out of it on the outside with caulk. It's kind of ugly. I won't even show you a picture of that because it's pretty ugly. But I'm going to cut, this is from a, it's from a ceiling light. Basically the fixture sits over this and it kind of, it's a beauty ring for a ceiling light. Kind of fits up like that. So we're going to cut this out and then put that over top of that, like so. So let me do that real quick. All right, so we have our trim ring in place. And yeah, it's ugly, but I get that painted eventually. I had to caulk the crap out of it. I want to make sure this is watertight and insect proof. And there's insulation stuffed in here, but it looks good. But I gotta let it dry for about 24 hours before I can start attaching any piping. You can see I've already got my stuff already marked out on the wall here. I thought about placing the thing here. So I got two options. I'm not too sure yet. I gotta get this in place first to see what it looks like. I had calculated all kinds of calculations, but I decided, no, we better put this in place just like it is. That way it's in there solid. But it's in there foamy and insulation-y and caulked the hell out of, so that was important to me. To make sure the guy before just had little covers over it, and they didn't really cover anything, so. All right, we'll let it rest for 24 hours. And start working on some other stuff. Okay, about 12 hours later, listen to that. All foamed in. Oh, that thing's, that's in place. That ain't going nowhere. Listen to that. Sounds like it's inside of concrete. All right, that's waterproof, fireproof, insect proof. Wet proof. All right, now we can start doing some other hardware stuff. Alrighty, so now we start fitting hardware. So first thing, we got to get a reducer on here. Since we're going to need crimpers to make these crimps and stuff, which we don't have, which we're not going to use. We're going to use some reducers and some other stuff. There's reducers and there's increasers. So increasers actually have the crimps. Reducers don't, which is kind of wild. These little bands right here along the edge are made so that the pipe has a little crimp in it the same size, and then it fits around there and then it just bolts on, so, or screws on. All right, so first things first, we get our this puppy screwed on. I know I'm going to be coming out too far. And I got to go here. Yeah. But it's the only parts I could find. I wanted a shorty to come out of here short and go straight up or straight over, up or over or down to where I want to put my fan. So let me get the main stuff screwed, taped. Whole lot of screwing to do, so let me get busy on that. Be right back. Okay, we have our reducer in place. That's solid. And screwed and taped. Did 4 screws all the way around because I want it to be strong in case I move the airbrush booth. This is pretty strong. But now we've got to do a little workity around this. You see how far that sticks out. I got to decide where I want my blower motor, so let me think about that for a second. Probably going to end up going up top. just because. That sticks out like a huge sore thumb, but it's for the best. All right, hold on. Be right back. All right, so I want to go ahead and put the fan in place. You see I've got everything lined up, all the holes made. Hopefully, I'm on the stud. And I've got my level line with the center. All right, let me go ahead and attach the board and the fan. And I'm going to be using these, hopefully, Lord willing, with a ratchet to attach it to this part. So let me get that installed. Okay, we are back. As you can see, I got my fan in place, all ready to go. So make sure that when you do your own, that you don't use too many 90s, because 90 degrees slows down airflow. But we didn't do that, so we're just going to do what works for me. And we're going to be using extraction hose. This stuff is great. It's thicker than dryer vent hose, and it'll hold up the solvents and stuff a lot better. And you can see I sealed everything. You got to seal because these are porous joints, so all the joints have to be sealed, or you're going to get leakage. We don't want no leakage. We want it going right outside. So it's looking good. Hose will attach right to here. Go back down to the airbrush booth. Didn't quite get exactly even. I wanted this even, but I would have had to have got some specialty parts for down here. Otherwise, it didn't turn out too bad. And also had to get a piece of plywood to attach to my 2x4 that I attached to the wall, just to make room for this. I thought about just putting the hose in, but this is a much smoother transition for airflow. So this goes right in, hose right down, boom. And sounding great. Got no air leaks over here at all. And that's what you want. You don't want any air leaks. You don't want any air leaks over here where your suction coming from. Woo, major suction. Major suction. Probably wouldn't even have to have it run that loud. Most of the time it'd probably run like that. So, good little fan. You see I attached it, pre-drilled some holes, and then used a ratchet and these to screw in to secure the bracket. It's looking good. Now we'll work on the airbrush output and attach a hose to that. Alright, be right back. Alrighty, let's put the tube on the back. So, looks like we have a limitation of about 5 inches to the back of the wall. So we're going to have to cut the output on the back off to make room for our curve. And you can see how big that curve is. Curve is about 6 inches, more like 7. So let me move everything around and cut some stuff off the back. Alrighty, got everything cut. Had to cut quite a bit off, but I figured I would have to. The only reason I'm doing this is to make room in the back, so this will fit on here. Had to cut these little welded tabs out so that I can squish it together. Stick it in there and shove it down in there. I'm going to clean up some of the dust here real quick. Give me a second. Okay, all cut and in place. I actually have it at an angle. That way I've decided that I'm going to scoot it over so I can work here. So I'll have 2 of these pullouts for space 2. So when you turn it around, it'll be kind of at an angle when it's setting here, but When you slide it over, should be perfect. All right, let's work on some LED lights. All right, so next we're going to install some LED lights. So these were on Amazon. These are fairly cheap, made in China. Great American made, not. Looks like they have some little clips. Clips fit into the rails and holds everything in place on the outside of the rails. So what I got to do is put these on, mark it inside the cabinet the way I want it to lay it out, and then these will screw in. I assume these teeny little things, and this is some wire holders. That's kind of nice. Looks like they attach with some 3M tape. Got an on and off button, and we got a dimmer. So haven't figured out where I'm gonna put the dimmer at. Maybe I can put that up in the inside. That should be interesting. It's off and on also. So let me turn my airbrush smoother over and get to work. And I won't show you the steps to install because it's pretty easy. Put these on, mark them. Going to use a dry erase marker. Mark them and then mount these in place, and then these just clip on. So let me get them on. Be right back. Okay, so I've positioned them where I want them. Now I'll mark all the little tabs and make sure our little connectors have room on each end. These I'm sure will have to go in just a little bit, but I'll check that out here in a second. I'll get them marked and mounted and be right back. Okay, I thought I'd give you a heads up on install. You can see the screws that come with it are teeny weeny and barely have any threads at all. So I'm going to switch out to these. One thing you got to make sure is the screw head has to be flush with the bottom of this, or the light won't snap in. There's just no more room, so your head has to be flush with the bottom of that, and I can't do that one-handed. But you can see how teeny these screws are. There's barely any going to be sticking into the wood. That could be okay for hardwood or metal, but not for MDF. So I chose a little bit larger screw that fits flush, and plus I only got 5 screws, and that kind of sucks. But let me go ahead and get these brackets in. Be right back. Don't you want to see that? Alrighty. Lights are installed. Can dim them down really low or high. Pretty darn bright. I will attach that to the back and then run the cord out, drill a hole here and run it out the back, and attach it to the electrical strip I want to put back there. All right, looking good, looking good. Be right back. All right, as you can see, we got our switch in place. And I don't know if you can see it or not, but I super glued in a little rubber grommet that usually goes into sheet metal. Just kind of super glued it in place to kind of seal that hole a little bit and to keep the wire from chafing on both sides. So, all right. Alrighty, so now we're going to work on the regulator. Since the out is over here and the in is here, we're going to switch around this to the back so that we can put the pressure regulator here on this side. And this bolt will go in there. That way the out is facing towards me and the airbrush, you know, out to me. So let me switch this around. Okay. I did use the Chinese Teflon tape that came with it. Usually if I was a smart man, I would have used I prefer to use any kind of airlines natural gas type tape. It's thicker and it does a better job of sealing, but well, we're going to see how well this works, mainly because I was too lazy to go get the other stuff. But as you can see, I've got the one already attached, quick to disconnect. One will be an in, one will be an out. Go in from the compressor, out to the airbrush. And then we'll put our little, really want to put an elbow in to put our little pressure thing on, but we're going to roll with what we got. I hate to look to the side. I prefer to look like this, but that's a whole nother story. We're just not going to go into that. So let me finish up. Okay, pressure regulator installed. I really wanted this to be on the inside, but it's going to take up too much room. You can see I've got screws and washers to kind of carry the load across more of a bigger area. So that's done. All right, let me finish up. Alrighty, wiring's all done. Got a screwed in receptacle that I can plug everything into. Compressor and the air up there. Maybe, maybe not. But this is a master on and off switch for the lights. Okay, now for the filter. I'm just going to measure, take off 1 inch all the way around. So it'll be 2 inches both directions. And slice me some filter material. Basically, it's just basic furnace filter. I don't think it's HEPA or anything, but should catch all the major particulates. So let me get that done. Be right back. Okay, vent cover and filters in place. And as you can see, we got tons of suction. Tons and tons. Got my Olaf mat in, fit perfectly. All in place. I'm not going to hook up the compressor because I think we better end this video here. But you see I got some slack over here. I'll probably end up taking some of that off. But I want to be able to move it to the center of the table over here so I can pull out my cabinets on both sides and have like a big giant airbrush workspace with lots of room. But all right, that is all. Not too bad. I hope some of the stuff helped somewhere to build yours the way you want it. All right. I appreciate you tuning in. I'm sorry it was so long, but kind of wanted you to at least see the steps. And if you have any questions, just let me know. All right. Talk to you later. Thanks for watching. Bye.